feels like the time is right for me to make an expression. Oh, I love you, I need you, I don't want to leave you guessing. So, will you be my friend? Will you stand by me till the end?
Hey, welcome inside my real kitchen. Today we're going to make a 100% rye sourdough bread. Now this mostly takes patience, but we're going to start by making a sponge with a rye starter I've had for a couple of months now. So we're going to start our sponge by putting 1 cup of rye starter, 1 cup of rye flour, and 1 cup of warm water into this bowl, as well as 2.5 teaspoons of maple syrup. They're all going to come together in a loose mixture and sit for 4 hours. That way the yeast can distribute itself, get activated, and eat up all that sugar and create those bubbles that we're looking for. So, start with 1 cup. That's roughly half of the amount of starter I have in here right now. This has yeast that it's gathered from its environment here in my house. And so the recipe doesn't call for any yeast. 1 cup of starter. 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of water. Don't forget that maple syrup, though it is optional. While I'm here, I'm also going to feed my rye starter this 2nd cup of water that I have, and 1 more cup of flour. Stir it up and let it sit. Now, I always get flour everywhere whenever I do this, so I'm just going to sweep that up and put it right in here. Now I'm going to mix this up and cover it. Keep it in a warm place for those 4 hours. And in the meantime, I'm going to add a fruity twist to this rye bread. Now, you can caramelize onions and do a little caraway onion and garlic, and that's a really delicious addition to your sourdough rye bread. But today, I'm going to do caramelized onions and caramelized apples. No caraway, but this little bit of maple syrup adds a nice tiny bit of seasoning to go with the apples and onions. So, after the initial 4-hour sit for my sponge, I'm going to add my cooled caramelized apples and onions, and I'm going to add 1 more cup of flour, and then it's going to sit overnight in a warm place until you're ready to bake it the next day or even the next day, depending on what kind of time you have available.
All right. Yeah. Well, I must admit, I can't explain any of these thoughts racing through my brain. It's true.
we now have our rye dough ready to go into the oven. So this became a sponge and sat for 4 hours, and then the caramelized onions and apples went in along with another cup of flour and sat overnight and well into midday the next day. Now it's really nice and warm and has doubled in size. So it's gonna be folded over once, reshaped, put on a pan and baked at 400 degrees for about 2 hours to get that really nice crust. And to make sure that you cook it all the way through, because rye bread is very, very dense. Whole rye bread like this anyway. So first thing I'm gonna do is coat the pan and my hands with oil, because I don't want to add any more flour to this. I don't want to knead it. You don't need to knead rye bread at all, or whole rye bread anyway, because along with gluten it also has its own elastic property from a polysaccharide compound called pentosan. So it doesn't require kneading at all. Oh, this is nice and soft and airy, very wet. But you can pick it up into one piece. Oh, look at those apples. Now it's going to be in the oven for 2 hours, so I don't want too many apples to be right there on the top, because they might get burnt and make a little bitter flavor, but that's okay. That adds to it too. Rye has its own bitter flavor that I really, really like. So I'm forming this into the loaf shape that I want, which is kind of the shape of the pan here that I have. And I'm gonna let it sit another 20 minutes or so as the oven preheats, and then it's gonna go in. In addition to 400 degrees, I also have a shallow pan of water in there that's heating up and creating some steam. That'll be in there for about the first 10 minutes of the baking, maybe 20 minutes. Just to help create that nice, shiny, crunchy crust. Okay, now my hands are all sticky. We gotta get this into the oven in just. Okay, while my oven's preheating, I'm letting my dough sit right here on top of my oven. Going back to my station. Something's smoking in here. Oh. Seems like we've almost cooked off all of our water already. I'm gonna add some more. Oops. And I got a pan in here I gotta take out. It's almost ready for the bread, but gotta wait for that oven to preheat. So our oven is preheated, and I'm putting this loaf in. Not all the way at the bottom there. More in the middle. And I set a timer for 2 hours. Voila.
Hot pants. Oh, that's where it's at.
So I had a chance to take out my rye bread and let it cool for a little while. Here she is. And now I'm just gonna have a little apple rye bread snack with sardines in the Mediterranean flavor with a little bit of herb de Provence, some black olives, some red peppers, and some garlic. Yum. Mmm. Delicious. Very nice. Little Nordic treat I have here for myself. Thanks for watching. Try out a sourdough.
A taste of honey.